Thanks for tuning in. If you're interested in the subject matter of this video, you're probably a fan of the Daredevil original Netflix show. So before proceeding, if you haven't watched my video immediately preceding this one, I recommend doing so to add context to what I'm going to talk about here. But that video is half an hour long, so I'll try to summarize it here before I begin. I promise this will be a shorter video. Ultimately, my point is, if you go from season 3 to Born Again, aka season 4 of this show, everything that came before it, even though it's canon, just doesn't matter. Daredevil's triumph over Kingpin in season 3 doesn't matter. Bullseye killing Rahul Nadeem does not matter. Vanessa ordering the hit on Nadeem doesn't matter. Kingpin making a deal with Daredevil based on Nadeem's dying testimony doesn't matter. Seema and Sammy as characters themselves don't matter, and neither does the death of her husband and his father, respectively. But they absolutely should matter. Otherwise, season 3, arguably the best season of the show, is just all pointless buzzkill buildup. Nadeem and his family deserved better. All of season 3 was about Nadeem, an original character not even from the comics. I've thought of a way to create justice for Ray Nadeem, so I'm gonna come out and say it. Make Kamala Khan a blood relative of Ray Nadeem's. And I'll explain piece by piece how and why this is the only way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe can redeem their botched effort to make the Netflix show, especially the ending of it, feel properly connected to the Disney Plus show. This is the way I see it, anyway. If you can think of any other way Nadeem can be relevant again, feel free to leave a comment below. So let's start with the how. Show a flashback of Kamala and her family, the Khans, watching the news and hearing about Wilson Fisk's release from prison for the second time in 2018, 2019, whenever it was, and show the Khans getting visibly upset by it, calling him a bastard for essentially getting away with Nadeem's murder. Then, flash forward closer to the present and show another scene of Kamala and her family reacting to finding out about Benjamin Poindexter escaping from prison. As if it wasn't bad enough for Kingpin to be a free man, show the Khan's reaction to the man himself who put Nadeem in the ground to be back out in the wild again. Let there be some dialogue in Kamala's next appearance in the MCU regarding how her father Yusuf encountered Matt Murdock during a bank heist where he basically saved her father's life. Have Kamala mention this to her dad and say something like, "Hey, Abu, wasn't Mr. Matt Murdock the one who helped our Rahul Chacha ji way back in the day? He helped save Sammy and Seema auntie too. Come on, Abu, give him the loan." Because that's what episode 5 of Born Again was. Matt going to the bank for a loan and getting rejected. Anyway, I've already seen predictions that Ms. Marvel will be a part of Daredevil's army in season 2 of Born Again, and the fact that Matt's already had a run-in with her father adds credence to the theory since he wouldn't shut up about her daughter within the first few minutes that they met. On top of that, Kamala herself got acquainted with Kate Bishop in her last MCU appearance, and this new Hawkeye already dealt with Kingpin once. So circling back to connecting season 3 of Daredevil to season 4, aka Born Again, Kamala needs to be established as a blood relative of Ray Nadeem's because this is personal. So now we're going to get into the why. If season 3 is going to matter again, there needs to be a character in the MCU who can be the Avenger for Nadeem. It's not going to be Daredevil anymore because Matt may as well have long forgotten about Nadeem since he's got Foggy's death to haunt him now. And it doesn't matter if Foggy is secretly still alive or not. The point is that Matt seems moved on from what happened with Nadeem, so it only makes sense for the character to avenge Nadeem to be Ms. Marvel. Make the MCU establish that Kamala is going after not only Kingpin to a lesser extent, but also Bullseye to a larger extent. Establish that she has a hateful vendetta against him for killing her uncle Nadeem, for being sent to a psychiatric ward instead of a prison, and for being set free by Vanessa Fisk using her uncle Nadeem's own death against him.
The whole FBI corruption scandal agent Nadeem all that. It's why my husband was acquitted. It's only fair it should benefit you too.
Right now, as far as I can tell, there is no other arch enemy for Bullseye in the MCU. Daredevil has been his only adversary, but obviously his arch enemy is Kingpin. By giving Kamala Khan a reason to hate Benjamin Poindexter, she, as Miss Marvel, the superhero, gets to have Bullseye, the supervillain, as an arch enemy. I know that evidence is pointing to a team-up between Daredevil and Bullseye for Season 5, aka Born Again Season 2. We'll see how that goes. But Bullseye is ultimately a supervillain. I got into this in depth in my previous video, but Benjamin Poindexter is an evil man. He's been killing people without remorse all throughout his character arc in the MCU, so there has to be some accountability here. If it's not going to be Daredevil going after Bullseye with that much motivation, then let Kamala Khan fill that void. Have the MCU establish that Kamala is close with her cousin Sammy and her aunt Seema, and that she will make sure Nadeem's death will mean something, as it already should have. And during the course of Miss Marvel's mission against Bullseye, let's bring Hawkeye into the picture of it. Because I've also wanted to see Hawkeye go up against Bullseye in the MCU, whether it's Kate Bishop or Clint Barton. But if it is Kate, and what I'm proposing ever comes to fruition, then we can have some sort of fighting triangle between Bullseye, Miss Marvel, and one of the Hawkeyes. And eventually, it comes down to Miss Marvel and Bullseye. Kamala gets the upper hand and is filled with rage. After a very tough battle with Bullseye, she's about to give him the final killing blow, but then Kate holds her back, telling her not to cross that line. Now I know all this is veering into fanfiction territory, but Marvel has done this before in the MCU. As in, they've created family relations between characters which previously didn't exist in the comics, and they've also created adversarial stories between characters that weren't in the comics too. Nadeem is a layer on top of that, since he wasn't even a character in the comics, but let me give you some examples. The first that comes to mind is Star-Lord and Ego. In the comics, Peter Quill's father is Jason. In the MCU, they changed that to being the planet Ego, who also ends up being the main villain of the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And in the third movie, Peter even refers to Mantis as his half-sister. Even if you take the father-son aspect out of the equation, I don't think Star-Lord and Ego were serious adversaries in the comics. Another example is Shang-Chi. In the comics, his father is Zheng Zhu, using the alias Fu Manchu at the time of his birth. But in The Legend of the Ten Rings, his father is Xu Wenwu, an original character by name, but also the MCU's version of the Mandarin. Now this was actually part of Kevin Feige's effort to retcon the Mandarin as a proper supervillain after the fake-out that took place all the way back in Iron Man 3. And speaking of Iron Man, similarly to the bad blood between Star-Lord and Ego in the MCU, Shang-Chi and the Mandarin weren't even adversaries in the comics either. On the contrary, in the comics, the Mandarin is Iron Man's arch enemy. So long story short, from my perspective, making Kamala Khan a blood relative of Nadeem's, while it may not have been originally planned, it's definitely an easy retcon that Marvel can just do to bring back significance to Season 3 of Daredevil and Nadeem's family and his sacrifice. The same goes for making Bullseye a serious adversary of Miss Marvel's. I'm not even sure if the two characters ever even crossed paths in the comics, but in the MCU, if it's established that Nadeem was a beloved uncle of Kamala's, then she would have a reason to hate Bullseye and go after him. There's no one else important in the MCU to hate Bullseye right now. I mean, yeah, again, Matt Murdock hates him, but his main adversary and his main focus is Wilson Fisk. And not to mention the fact that there are rumors of the two of them teaming up to take Kingpin down. I've got my own thoughts about that nonsense, and if you want to hear it, check out my previous video. Now, as someone of South Asian descent, I'll be the first to say that this might not be the best way to do it, but I see it right now as the only way to do it. For anyone who isn't South Asian looking into this and seeing the potential offensive racial implication, let me elaborate a little. I already feel some way that Kamala Khan is that brown Marvel superhero, if you know what I mean. Not only is she the only one, but there never has been a time in this franchise where a character's race was changed to be of South Asian descent. I don't count Kingo because he's not human, so he wouldn't even identify with a human ethnicity. I get that he was literally doing that in Eternals, but that's a whole separate story, one that I in fact did find kind of offensive, but that's not the point of this video or the point that I'm trying to make right now. And I also previously stated many times that I really love the fact that Nadeem's race had nothing to do with his character arc. It was a testament that main characters don't have to be cast as brown only when their race is relevant to the story. So I'm merely suggesting that the showrunners just take advantage of the fact that Nadeem, as an original character of Pakistani descent that already has an existing history in the MCU, to tie him to Ms. Marvel, the only other main character in the MCU of Pakistani descent. All they have to do is retcon the two characters as being close relatives. Establish him as Kamala's Chachuji, bring him up in conversation in the next major Ms. Marvel appearance in the MCU, also establish that she wants revenge against Bullseye for being the one who killed him and never went to prison for it, and now actually escaped his actual incarceration, and just take it from there. The predicament we have here presents a unique opportunity to make this connection, and I think Marvel should just take it. To quote Busta Rhymes from Master of None, don't play the race card, charge it to the race card.
If you're a minority trying to come up in the game, you got a rare opportunity, especially because you got the leverage in the situation. I don't think you should play the race card. Charge it to the race card.
Because otherwise, if they don't do it, then Seema and Sammy are just nothing but plot devices in Season 3 of Daredevil, long forgotten in the history pages of the MCU. If anyone has a better idea on how to bring Nadeem's sacrifice back into the forefront of Daredevil's story, sincerely, I am all ears. Because right now, I think, for those of us who care, this is our only shot. The only other option would be to discard all of my complaints and basically just dismiss the peak of Netflix Daredevil, which consensus-wise is Season 3. Just completely dismiss the fact that Kingpin flipped Nadeem's dying declaration in his favor, dismiss the fact that Bullseye killed Nadeem plus a bunch of innocent people and never faced a proportionate, justifiable consequence for it, just dismiss the fact that Vanessa Fisk, the one who ordered Nadeem's death, is the one who got the killer out using his own death against him. But if we do just dismiss it all, Disney is continuing to ruin and insult the ending of the Netflix original show. For my full explanation of that, again, please check out my previous video. I know that there is a 1 in a million chance that Marvel or Disney will actually take my advice, but at least I have this platform to put my thoughts out there. So that's pretty much it. If you watched this video all the way to the end, thanks again. I really appreciate you hearing me out. What do you think of the idea of connecting Rey Nadeem to Kamala Khan and making Ms. Marvel an enemy of Bullseye's? Do you have any other ideas of justice for Rey Nadeem? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, until next time, holla at your boy.